Good morning, good evening, and good night. This is Living World of Darkness, no, not Street Magic, sorry. Vampire Venue. Uh, Tonight we find Vasily just finished from a little trip down to Broadway. He's had a busy night. And before that, the Primogen and Prince and Seneschal meeting, and so on, at court. He is arranging a brief meeting between himself, Damien of Clan Nosferatu, and Emily of Clan Gangrel. He's arranging to meet all three, or both of them, at the abandoned warehouse used by himself and Damien the time before. So our scene would open. Vasily gets there first, unless Damien was already lurking there the whole time. And then he's just hanging out there. His ghoul's waiting outside in the car, as usual. If you guys approach by the street, you'd see him. The ghoul isn't even going to acknowledge you guys. He's just like, whatever. Just watching, keeping a lookout. And with that, our scene opens.
Well, since you were thinking about it, Damien actually is waiting inside the warehouse. And he is unseen. So the first thing that he doesn't do this to people that he likes. So usually he's not usually, but he sometimes likes to just appear right in front of people's faces because, let's face it, Nosferatu don't really have many sources of fun. But in Vasily's case, he will appear. He will stand some few meters from him. Respectful distance, and then he will unmask himself. Good evening, he says.
Ah, there you are. Hi. Miss Stevenson's on her way, I believe. Had a very eventful night. He kind of grins ear to ear. He's like, had our meeting about Monroe. I got good news. He's like, sadly, they're not putting her solely in your custody. Miss Ghost is going to have responsibility for her. She was stripped to fledgling. They're both going to be under a little bit of Tremere supervision to an extent. My pity for them. But long story short, they'll both have a chance to prove themselves.
You know,
there were a few other events during the meeting which were interesting. He just kind of hesitates for a minute, like he's not sure whether to continue before Emily arrives.
At this point, Emily she approaches, sees the car. She is a little reluctant. She just looks around to see if everything's all right, and it seems fine. She'll just go and just pop her head in, just, hello? Vasily?
And you see Vasily chumming around with a ugly as fuck, Damien.
She'll just, hi, and she'll come up to the two of them. All right, good evening, both of you. So, what's up?
Town.
It's like, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go first.
All right, Vasily just kind of looks like, there you are. Excellent. Okay, you're both here. So, couple things were accomplished tonight, as I'm sure you've probably already heard. I'm not sure. You guys gotten the announcement yet? Looks at both of you guys.
Which announcement?
Decision regarding Madame Monroe?
I've not heard.
Okay. Short version. Stripped to fledgling status, being put in Ghost's care. The both of them are going to be monitored by the Tremere, and they're both expected to be very useful to the Camarilla in the near future. If there's any sign of disloyalty or anything else, they're both going to be put to final death. He kind of winces, that was the hardline approach that we had to concede to. But in the meantime, she's able to be assisted by yourself, Damien. It was allowed that you will, of course, be able to help supervise her teaching. Even if she is under Ghost's care, you will be allowed access to help out and such. Got to give her access to her own clan. A few other
Hello.
things were handled during the meeting. You have a representative on the Primogen Council now, Miss Stevenson.
I know that part.
All right. Oh, excellent. So you did hear from someone. Yes.
Well, I'm just coming from another meeting with Mr.
Excellent.
Gangrel, so.
Excellent. Kind of looks over at Damien. He's like, some kind soul. Oh, the hell! Justinian apparently decided that we needed to glom up what few kindred of the clans that didn't have 3 members in the city. You know, they needed to be assigned respective patrons, apparently. So that included, he takes off his fingers, the Gangrel, which are now under the supervision or representation of Mr. Young from Clan Tremere. The Bruja, who I believe are now held, if I remember out of character, I think the Bruja are now held by Justinian, right?
Hmm.
I think
I
so.
don't know.
Yes.
Okay, I was asking Peter.
Sorry.
So the Justinian now has representation of Clan Bruja, and I have Clan Nosferatu.
Damien smiles and nods, and his smile is genuine. He did as soon as you said the whole part about being represented by someone else, he was a bit anxious. But when you broke this news, he smiles and relaxes a bit and says, "Well, I would not have wished for any other," he says.
Well, I don't think Justinian would have been too. He would have attempted to do you justice, I'm sure. He's like, Oh, I'm also responsible for the Anarchs.
And at that, his eyes widened. Okay.
I've already spoken to Mole. He spoke well of you.
He is I feel good about him as well, he says.
Yes, I'm sure he'll be quite helpful with you and Miss Monroe. I anticipate that even if he's not part of the tower, well, the 3 of you can at least see to some of the sewer security arrangements. It's hard to separate their sewers from our sewers in that light.
Yeah. We need to make all of the sewers our sewers, he says, with a bit of a strained, not strained towards Vasily at all, but like the same way you would. Yeah, frustrated. Yeah.
Yeah, he understands. It's like, well, let's see. Also, the independent clans were discussed briefly. Too bad I didn't get a representation for the Setites. That would have been interesting as well. But Setites were handed out. The Giovanni were handed out, and so on and so forth.
Are there Giovanni in the city? He says.
I'm not even sure. But someone has responsibility for them now.
He chuckled.
It's one of those. I believe this whole matter was simply a matter of saying that we have something to put in our cap. A little extra feather.
Yeah,
how big the feather is doesn't seem to matter.
That sounds like something that the Tremere would think of. Yeah.
As far as number of new kindred to be responsible for, I think I came out ahead.
He nods. Well, I mean, you actually got some of the more. He says, well, you got the eyes and the ears of the Camarilla. He smiles. You're not too badly off.
Oh no, I'd agree with that. Which is actually part of what I was hoping. This is the main reason I called for you both here. Not to simply pass on this news, because obviously if it were just that, he nods towards Emily, I wouldn't have needed to call you here. I'm sure you would have found out from other sources, as you did. He's like, okay, how to put this? We're going to be trying to... There are... How to put this? We're not sure what's going to happen with the Sabbat in the near future. There are talks of another attack. There are talks of peace talks. There are talks of holding our ground. I'm not sure what's going to happen, in all honesty. But I do know that, as anyone could probably guess, we need to be in a good position to defend ourselves.
Yes.
I am usually in the business of training ghouls, something I have not had much opportunity to do since I arrived here. Ghouls make for excellent cannon fodder
Cannon
for
fodder.
most. Hmm?
No, he basically said cannon fodder at the same time as
Yes.
you did.
Yes, it's like they usually make good cannon fodder. I don't typically train them in that regard. I find them to be a waste of effort in that department. Take my own Alexander outside. He's managed to survive with me for several decades.
He smiles.
But in any case, my own proclivities regarding ghouls aside, I thought it might be best if we started some kind of organized training program. Obviously, I would not expect anyone to simply donate their time, knowledge, or skills, let alone talents and disciplines and so on, for free. But I thought, Miss Stevenson, since you are already in the process of teaching certain people, while your time is limited and your duties as Hound are undoubtedly paramount, we might be able to find a way to share the load.
All right.
And perhaps use your training program as the basis of this. I'm not sure how large your facility is. I'm willing to bet not the entire facility is prepared for our sort. How many do you think you could accommodate in there at any given time without arousing suspicion? A couple?
She thinks for a moment. Well, I have to look. Well, as for training, depending on what we're talking, if it's just fighting and normal, like martial arts, then I could house like 6, 8, maybe 10.
What I'm thinking, in the long term, we may have grander ideas regarding this. With my resources, let alone that of some of my clanmates, who I'm sure I can convince to assist in this regard, I'm thinking we will need a slightly larger place at some point. I have been looking at making some real estate deals here in Manhattan. When I know anything for certain, I'll let you know. But in the meantime, I may find or recommend a few individuals here in the city, either ghouls or certain kindred who could use the time to learn this sort of thing. He's like, essentially what I'm saying is we need to learn how to be more effective on the field. If there's anything I've learned, we need to be able to defend ourselves and strike hard and fast if need be. Any vampire should know how to do that. Even if they don't expect to be on the front lines, you never know where the next front line will appear.
While the two of them were speaking, I was just about to call him Adam. Sorry, Damien. Yeah, different characters. Damien will like briefly check his phone to see if any news, and he will come across a broadcast from the Senate show. And he will, while they speak, he will read it, and then he will finish and look up at Vasily and go, I'm sorry, Vasily, but there's from the way he's been casual with him, he agrees. He thinks that calling him Vasily would be like acceptable. Because
he doesn't seem at all offended.
because under normal circumstances he wouldn't have. But meh. I'm sorry, but I just read the Sunday show's broadcast. He says, and you said that Miss Monroe would be given to primarily to Ghost under the supervision of the Tremere, but according to the Seneschal, she will be given to someone named Andrea Miller.
I'm assuming Ghost isn't her real name. Is that Ghost's name?
I don't know, he says. Um,
I was
I,
introduced to her as Ghost, but that was the
I,
decision we came to. I
I,
assume that must be her.
I only know her as Ghost.
Same, but
Okay,
strange.
anyway,
Seems like a little protocol breach, but
that's fair. Um, okay, sorry, that was only I only know her as Ghost, so that was the confusion. My apologies.
no need to apologize. Uh, he kind of like hesitates for a second. He's like, okay. Here's the thing. For right now, one thing, this may not seem related, but it is. Miss Stevenson, I've been talking to Damien here recently about how my projects within the city could use occasionally the assistance of someone with certain skills that our kind have. Whether the ability to deal with a couple of troublemakers in a permanent manner, or to simply be a presence. There are many things we could do. I would not expect this assistance to come for free. Any assistance that would be required would need compensation, obviously. But if my current goals, I am not at all ashamed to admit, involve the Russian families within the city, the organized crime, as you would. We're attempting to expand our operations a little, which will undoubtedly help secure our borders. For if the mortals are under our sway, then obviously that'll make things a little easier on us. In short, I may have an individual or two in the near future to send to you. I'm sure when that time comes, I can introduce you. We can arrange a suitable fee, whether in currency or possibly even a boon, depending on the circumstances and what is to be taught. What are you prepared to teach a mortal? Obviously not anything in the way of disciplines, but martial arts, you said?
Generally, martial arts, I can give, well, a more or maybe less intensive training for, muscle strength, endurance, circular training, give him tips on getting in shape fast, how to not get hit in a fight, how to be able to take a hit in a fight, and how to kick someone's ass.
Understood. And if I were to give you a kindred in the city who needed training, such as if I were to recommend, just as a hypothetical example, if I were to say, hey, Damien, you need to get a little tougher. Go, start working out in a nice little montage with Miss Stevenson here.
He smiles.
If I were to have some way of repaying you for it, as I said, it would most likely require a boon. Are you at all acquainted with fortitude?
She nods. Quite.
Would you be willing to train that in exchange for whatever you would consider suitable payment? Like, is it even on the table as an option?
That would also depend on Damien.
Kind of looks over at Damien.
Because I would consider that a deal between, mortals and potential ghouls you sent to me is between the two of us. But if another kindred comes, I will want to talk with that person first.
Understandable.
Damien nods as if that was the most obvious thing in the world.
Understandable. You'd have to know the person to work with that closely.
And, I get it. You want people to get, ready to fight, and that's fine. But training like this, and especially if you're talking disciplines, well, then it should be between the person teaching and the person receiving the training.
It is completely understood. I was simply offering to, if depending on what arrangements you two were to make, I might be able to pick up the tab, so to speak. simply to facilitate everyone getting a fair shot at their training.
Hmm.
But as I said, it's simply an idea. Any who were able to pay for their own training, obviously, that would be a little bit better.
That would depend completely on Damien.
Understood.
Or whoever would come my way.
And on that same note, Damien, are you at all familiar with potents?
I'm sorry. No, he says. I do have some. I do have some skills in communicating with the beasts, as our hound will be able to attest to. He says from that incident in the woods. But I have some not mastery, but I have some experience in the ways of remaining unseen.
Given I haven't seen you impersonating Scarlett Johansson yet, I'm sure I realized you weren't quite that skilled yet.
He smiles.
But it was simply an idea. I'm sure someone else within the city has mastery of potents, and goodness knows, given how many Toreadors we have, one of them surely has celerity and would be willing to trade for it. My goal is to have someone willing to teach all 3 of the so-called combat disciplines. And that would be it would be something, even if we had one person to teach each discipline, it would be obviously very time-consuming, but it would be very effective for obvious reasons.
Emily will, she looks as though she's about to say something, but she doesn't.
Perception and
looks at Vasily and just...
Like apprehensive, or like he's suggesting something that's not standard?
That's... no, probably not.
Okay, I'll make a perk empathy roll. Hold on.
2 successes.
Yeah.
I got it here somewhere. Let me make my roll before you do that. Perception, empathy, got it. I'll make a roll.
He acted on you saying...
No successes.
Something of the Toreador, celerity, and teaching all 3, and there was some reaction, and she was about to say something, but then she didn't.
Damien looks at her and says, please go on. He says, I think this might be worth hearing.
Vasily just kind of looks like, oh, she was going to say something? Okay, go ahead.
No, it's nothing. It's just I kind of, well, I wouldn't say I'm I could probably it won't take that long until I could probably have an idea of how to do the thing with celerity.
Oh, that would make things even more convenient. Of course, there are also some Brujah in town, so it wouldn't be as if you would be the only person able to teach it. So we wouldn't need to rely on you working in the gym day and night. Not that that isn't a worthy cause. Just saying. I'm sure you have other things to do.
Well, I mean, there are, with enough dedication and enough practice, some of these things are actually, well, if you know how to pressure yourself, if you know how to strive for some things, well, then some of these things can actually be, you can gain some understanding of it by yourself.
Well, I wasn't aware of that.
Well, you need to know what to do, and you need to know yourself quite a bit, and know how to pressure yourself and focus yourself for something. But
you see, when someone says teaching themselves fortitude, I'm suddenly struck by the mental image of slamming your fist against a brick wall until it stops hurting.
Damien outright laughs at that.
Like something out of a bad karate film.
I've seen my share of those, he says.
That would probably take a while before that would work.
Well, the idea that it would even work is impressive. I can simply imagine you have a bad hand afterwards. Waste quite a bit of blood fixing that. But in any case, as I said, there are several within the city who could assist with this. First and foremost, though, given the sensitive nature of what has happened recently with Nosferatu, it's you, Miss Monroe, and... Well, actually, I'll be honest. You, Miss Monroe, and to an extent, Mole, and also to an extent, Miss Stevenson here, are the most at risk, in my opinion. The sewers are vulnerable. That affects all three of you. And, no offense to Miss Stevenson here, but our track record with the hounds lately makes me think that the Sabbat are making a game of killing your particular title. So, you are the ones I am most worried about.
Damien,
most likely to see combat.
We are at risk, he says. It is, I have some beginning plans for dealing with them, but I require information on whereabouts and stuff like that, and I have not been able to acquire that yet. And then he smiles, looking at both of them. It involves traps and gasoline. I want to see these fuckers burn.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. As long as I'm far away and above.
He chuckles. I want to be far away as well. I know, like, how I have felt firsthand how our kind responds to fire, and I don't want to go through that again.
No, there was this one time I saw a Bruja start. No, not even going there. In any case, regardless. So that's what I wanted to impart. Also, our prince seems to have a sense of humor. He just kind of like, he's thinking about saying something else. He's just like, no, I'm just going to leave it at that. It was my first encounter with him, and I must say, it was not what I was expecting.
Oh? In what sense?
The meeting was in a museum for comic book paraphernalia.
Damien rolls his eyes, but quickly gets a hold of himself again. I'm sorry, he says. It's just like back home I was used to having courts in, shall we say, more elaborate locales.
Oh, there was a nice table. We had all the trappings beyond that. It was simply the locale which was interesting.
He smiles and nods. Please go on.
No, that was all. But in any case, he seemed rather amenable. Whereas the Seneschal's decision would have been to execute Madame Monroe and, on top of it, strip Miss Ghost of status completely. I believe that there was the prince did not seem to jump to the same conclusions. He seemed quite open-minded to other possibilities. And that's what I believe we need in the city, a prince who will adapt as needed.
Damien nods. Yeah, I think that's right, he says. Especially in the current situation where we need experienced people. Shooting ourselves, it wouldn't even be shooting ourselves in the foot, it would be blasting our kneecap off. That wouldn't do anything to help us.
Well, it could have been far worse. I think we came out of the situation relatively well.
Yes, we did. What I was referring to was the other situation that you mentioned, that the Seneschal wanted to press.
Out of character, what? Huh?
Okay, you said that the Seneschal wanted to execute Monroe and strip Ghost of titles, right?
Yep.
That is what he was referring to.
Okay.
Doing that would have been blasting off, not just shooting ourselves in the foot, but blasting off our kneecap.
Yeah. That he understands. That's why he was saying we could have done far worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
We came out ahead on this one, I think.
Yeah.
All right. So with that in mind, I'll see what I can arrange. Obviously, you'll be able to contact Madame Monroe in the near future, and I'm sure you'll be coordinating. If you need anything or have anything that you would normally take to your Primogen, if there's an urgent matter, obviously, at your disposal.
I thank you, he nods.
And, what was it? He kind of looks over at Miss Stevenson. He's like, He just kind of looks. He's like he's thinking about saying something. Like he's not sure. Out of curiosity, if he's kind of like he's looking between the two of them. I know Gangrel usually have control over animals as well. Is that one of your skills or no?
Well, nah, no.
Okay, just checking on that one. In that case, he's like, it's been a little while since I got my hands dirty. I've been trying to avoid it for a little while, but let's say hypothetically there are a couple competitors in a certain field that need to be removed. No one that would attract too much attention, simply some mortals that would be in the wrong place at the wrong time, armed most likely with low caliber bullets and so on. How difficult would you find it to find a good place to hide the bodies around here? He's like honestly asking, like he hasn't had to do this in so long. He usually has people for this.
Yeah.
Damien could always jump in and answer this also. Like he's looking at the Hound because he thinks the Hound has to do this sometimes.
Emily just looks at him. Well, when she's taken aback a bit, actually. She just looks at him and just, well, I tend to have different, well, what shall we say, different ways of dealing with things. If things are, well, if a person is a vampire, well, then there probably won't be a body. If they're mortal, I normally just do certain stuff that they won't get up and then have somewhere else to deal with them. Or have some, like, police or someone deal with them. I don't tend to...
in this case, police involvement would be... In this case, police involvement would be detrimental, but not that there would be any. We're not talking a breach of the first by any means, but it would be detrimental to other matters. Kind of looks over Damien like, don't suppose there are any cesspools anywhere, somewhere in the system, if you would ever gain control of them.
That would require intelligence streetwise roll, wouldn't it?
Probably. I'm not even. I'm saying like he could say he doesn't need to say yes. I know of one. It's more like yeah, sure, that sort of thing would exist in the sewers.
Yeah. Okay, in that, yeah, of course, in that, and yeah.
Of course, there's a place we Nosferatu toss the bodies.
And he looks at and then says, there probably is such a place. He says, but first thing, we don't really have safe control of the sewers, and until we do, that's probably not a good idea. Second, my talents are of a very different nature. He says, I am not as skilled in combat as some of my clan, but I will I can ruin anyone if I get a computer and an internet connection. There isn't a computer that I can't hack. So if you need something broken in that sense, I'm your man.
Oh, we'll have to discuss how to combine your skills with my ability to alter bank records. He just grins.
and Damien does that. How do you think that I end up? How do you think that I have such?
Hello. Hello.
I think his mic went. Just.
Hello.
There you go. There you go. You're back.
Am I back? Can you hear me now?
You're back.
Yeah.
You're back.
Good. Okay, sweet.
How did you think we?
How do you think that my that I have, like, he looks at the Vasily and smiles. How do you think that I have the kind of resources I do? He chuckles. I
You
can.
have money? I didn't know you had money.
Well, I mean, I'm no fucking Bill Gates. He says, gesturing to himself. But I have enough to get by, and I have some of that from hacking into accounts.
Excellent, excellent. All right. With that, I don't want to keep either of you any longer. I know I've taken up quite a bit of your time. Miss Stevenson, thank you very much for taking the time to come meet me here. Like I said, if I find anything else, I will let you know immediately. And if there's anything I can do to help out, my primary goal right now is to strengthen the tower within the city. So that and give people a good laugh on occasion. He kind of adds that on the side.
Damien smiles. He really liked this venture, and he hasn't ever met a venture that he likes before. So this is new territory to him.
I actually do have something you might be able to help me with.
Oh, by all means, go ahead.
There's a company I want to make sure something. It's an air conditioning company. They install air conditioning systems in buildings.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to know something about it.
Whether they are a front company, perhaps, or...
No, I need to know who owns them, and I need to know something about a project they have. They have a new product online.
He kind of looks over at Damien.
RX8, you can find it on the net, on the internet. It's like they're publicizing it, they're promoting it. It's a new big thing. I want to make sure that
we should definitely communicate about that further. I believe if they are a company that exists today, I'm sure they have financial records. I'm sure those financial records are on some sort of computer network.
Damien smiles and nods.
So between the two of us, I'm sure we'll be able to find something out. Is there anything?
Do you remember that time we tried to, with the hunters? Not too long ago.
Vasily doesn't know anything about it. He's just like,
oh yeah, he like Damien nods. Yeah.
This is the company that went in and he does quotations in the air, fixed the air conditioning.
Damien does a kind of like, oh, son of a bitch gesture, like I don't know how to describe it, but I'm guessing you know what I'm talking about. The oh fuck.
Like, God damn it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So they're likely involved with hunters. He looks at Vasily.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I actually don't think so. If they're related, I think they are so far removed from it that they don't know that they are. That's what I need to have either confirmed or denied.
You need to make sure that they're not involved with the hunters, then, or if they
are,
I
need to know if the people who, or whatever company or whoever owns this company, who they are and whether or not they're related, because that might be. I met one of the guys from this company who installed something, or was at the building that me and Damien and some others investigated, and he wasn't shy at all about saying pretty much anything. So, and he wasn't suspicious at all, which leads me to believe that if I don't think he's knowingly involved. I think he just doesn't. The problem is, he alluded to me that he was in fact at that building. I spun some bullshit lie, and he was at that building, and he installed something called, or he checked their air conditioning in the building and saw that there was a part missing, and that part was this RX8 module thing. I don't know what exactly it is, but if that is what has caused what Justinian felt, I want to know about it.
Yeah.
I'm a little behind the times. What did Justinian feel?
He felt like coughing. He felt like he had a sore throat or something. I don't remember, but he said it was almost immediately as he entered the building.
Yeah.
What's problematic was that when he said it didn't affect the mortals in the building. I want to make sure that this company isn't producing something that's going to be able to identify us.
Hmm.
Because
that's
if
why
that
I need
does,
this done quite fast.
yeah. Well, he says, looking at her as as you know, point me at a computer and a system, and I will get into it. I'm here for you to call whenever I'm at your service.
And if there's anything on, if you find any records that you need sifted through because they look like far too much math for your average person, toss them my way.
All right. I need to see if there is a local affiliate of this company that we can pay a visit to.
Yeah.
I'll keep you both posted.
All right.
Thank you, Hound. He says, and does a polite bow.
Yeah, remember, Damien, this is oh, a few people have been privy to this. The Tremere Primogen, you, Vasily, and the sheriff. That's it. I don't want to panic. So
He nods. Yeah, I get that. I was there, and I didn't feel anything, but I saw how it affected Justinian. We don't want this out as much as possible.
right. So was there anything else?
Yep, I believe that was it.
She just nods and she just all right. Well, I'll be on my way, and she will begin to leave.
Yeah. Damien will nod respectfully as she leaves, and then he will look at Vasily and go, "I too shall take my leave." He says, if there was
Oh,
nothing else.
nope, I don't believe so. Good luck dealing with Miss Monroe. I have
Thank
yet
you.
to meet her myself. I'm supposed to shortly.
Hmm?
Hopefully that'll work out quite well. In any case, I will head out.
Yeah. And Damien will nod and disappear into the shadows from whence he came. And that'll be the last thing you'll see of him tonight.
And with that, I will end our scene. Thank you, players, for playing, watchers for watching, Valentine's Day people. Go out with your date already.
I don't have one, cries in corner.